Gophers in your lawn or in your garden, I can totally relate. Let me show you the traps that I use and how I set them. Over the past couple of years, I've had a lot of success with a trap called the GOPHERHAWK. I'm not in any way affiliated with them, and all of the traps that I use have been purchased with my own money. Let me take you out to a couple of the sets that I put in yesterday and talk about how I put them in. Yeah, I got me one. Yeah, he's right there. Yeah, from where I caught this last one, there's a tremendous amount of activity all through this area. I've got burrows running up this direction, out that direction. But as I come up into higher ground over here, really fresh sign right here. Got a system that looks like it runs that direction, as well as I've got some mounds and tunnel system, as well as I've got activity headed this direction. So I'm going to probe around in this area. There's activity leading in a lot of different areas. Gophers are kind of a solitary creature unless they've been mating. So there's a chance that this could be one gopher in this area, or it could be more than one gopher. What I'm trying to do is just hedge my bets on where I think the gopher is going to be coming back from. So I'm going to set a couple of vent holes, which is going to let daylight in to this area. And gophers don't like that. They don't like daylight coming into their tunnel system because it makes them more susceptible to predators and the weather and all those sort of things. So he will be back. He or she will be back. So I'm going to probe, boom, open this up to expose a little bit of daylight. And upon doing so, I'm going to set my trap here. The gopher's up above me. That's going to cause them to come back down to this daylight hole. They're going to also want to fill in this hole right here. So they're going to have to pass my trap in order to do so. A good idea to kind of do it in a circular way. It kind of packs the dirt in that hole so that you're not going to have it collapse. Several ways that I can get this gopher. I suspect he might be up the hill, but if he's not, there's still tunnels running down this direction. There's tunnels running out here. If they come back to this junction, they're going to see daylight up here, and they're going to want to go investigate that and close that daylight. So I want to make sure that this is open going that direction, as well as open coming back to this junction where I'm going to set my trap. Same from anything down below. They're going to come back to this main hole that they were just working. When this is popped up, it's obviously been activated, but you push this, lock it in the open position. When the gopher travels through here, he'll hit that little trigger and then he'll get caught. These sometimes need to be bent back into shape. Some people will take this apart to reshape these springs. It's a little safer to do that, and I would recommend you maybe learning how to do that rather than doing it the way that I do it, but I'll just brace it on my knee so it won't activate. I would never get my finger going through there because you'll lose a finger. But you'll want that kind of bulbed out so that the gopher will wind up going through that and hitting that trigger. In order to release that trigger, you can just hit it and it retracts back down. Push it, set it. Now that I got that cleaned out, I can see the depth at which I need to set this. Once that cage comes out, you can kind of feel where it's at in relation to the hole. Pull up on that. Rather than filling in around this with dirt, I like to take a stick or rock and prop it up so that it will kind of brace it in this position. Bear in mind, I can set one of these in a couple of minutes. Generally speaking, I'm taking a little bit more time in this tutorial to show you, but these are very, very easy to set. I catch a ton of gophers with this. I've got several sets elsewhere on the property. If I had additional traps right now, I could set more traps in this area. We'll check back here in a little bit and see how we did. Here's another set that was set yesterday. A double set in this area. There's one there and there's one there. This one obviously is triggered. You can see the yellow indicator, and it's popped up. And I've got this propped up with a stick. So if we look from here over to here, I also opened up some vent holes. As I pull up on this, you can see the water in these vent holes. So all of this whole system is pretty wet, but obviously I've got a gopher on the end of this. A lot of times you can just pull it straight out depending on how good of a catch and how tight the ground is, but there we go. Pretty nice catch. What I'll probably do with that second trap that I have set there is, given the fact that gophers are pretty solitary, there's a good chance that all the activity that I saw in here was just that one gopher. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that and take it to other areas where I do have activity and get something set there. If I see activity back in this area, I'll re-engage these traps. Okay, here's another quick set that I'll show you. We got all kinds of activity all in this area, leading out into different tunnels. Out that way a little ways. But where my freshest activity was right here. I had some fresh push coming out of here. So I want to draw them back to this hole. So I'm going to set just back from that hole about 10 inches or so. And I've already cleaned this out, and I'll show you what I've got. This goes through to a daylight hole that I set here off of this dirt mound. And then you've got a hole wallowed out going that direction, and then a hole leading back toward the original hole that I want to draw them back to. They're going to come back to this hole because they were here recently, and they're going to want to take and close that up. I want my hole to be a little bit larger so it's somewhat loose in there when I set my trap. That way there's going to be daylight around here. They're going to want to come back to that daylight, and then they're going to have to pass my trap. I'll go ahead and set this up and then show you the end result when it's set and what that cage should look like. So that's a brand new trap. A few rocks around it and a little bit of dirt on this side, a little bit of mud to kind of keep it stabilized, but I've got daylight shining up through there. That's going to draw them back toward that daylight and to investigate that. When they do, I got them. If we look down here, we can see that they've pushed dirt into this vent hole, pushed dirt into this vent hole. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll push dirt into the trigger, which causes you not to catch anything, but I'm feeling a little bit of resistance here. So we'll see how we did. Well, would you look at that? You can see the ring around his neck. That's a pretty solid head catch. Now, these traps are actually pretty spendy. They're about 35 bucks, give or take, for this set. And you can buy them either in the set where you get the probe and the trap, or buy them just individually and save around 5 bucks or so. I would definitely recommend purchasing the set where you have this probe, which is pretty useful. And any additional traps you want to add, save yourself some money and just buy the trap. Let's see what we got. Nope. So I can either do my remake directly in that same hole if it looks like it's going to be viable, or what I'll usually do in most cases is just assess the area, look for fresh sign, and set up there. I've got a triple set up in this area, one over there, one right here, and one right over here. All these were set about an hour ago, and this one's already popped up. Feels like it. Look at that. Oh yeah. There we go. I hope this has provided a bit of insight into trapping gophers with the GOPHERHAWK trap. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.